Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. We just wrapped up our deep dive into the principles of advanced security techniques, and now we jump into the lending, yield, and derivatives module of the Solana ecosystem track. To understand how on-chain lending works, let's look at a familiar offline system, the local pawn shop. If you need cash, you might walk in and slide a valuable item, say a vintage electric guitar, across the counter as collateral in exchange for a short-term loan. We know how this ends if the money isn't paid back. The pawnbroker keeps the guitar, puts it in the front window, and sells it to get their money back. But on the Solana blockchain, there is no pawnbroker. There is no human behind a counter, no customer service hotline to ask for an extension, and no physical repo agent. Instead, the work is divided between two distinct systems inside a smart contract. The ledger acts as the accountant, recording your balances, while the state machine acts as the rule enforcer, deciding what actions are permitted. Seeing how these two halves divide the workload between storing data and enforcing rules lets you map out exactly how a program determines if a user is still solvent or if their collateral needs to be seized. The ledger functions as an uneditable notebook. Its primary job is to record exactly how many tokens you deposited as collateral and how many tokens you borrowed as debt. However, the ledger is limited to the data it has already stored. If you deposit Solana tokens and borrow USDC stablecoins, the ledger cannot naturally compare them. It's like trying to subtract fruit from car parts. The units don't match. This is where we use an oracle, a live price checker. As these different token shapes pass through this filter, they are translated into standardized units of value, usually pegged to a quote currency like USDC. Now, the ledger has a single, uniform metric it can use for its math. Recalculating every single loan in every block would quickly overwhelm the network's processing capacity. Instead, the ledger uses lazy interest accrual. As shown here, the debt units stay static until the moment a user interacts with the account. Only then does the program apply an interest index, causing the debt number to jump to its true updated value. This approach reduces the total number of expensive write operations needed to keep the protocol running. It's a common efficiency pattern you'll see across many Forge College smart contract courses. While the ledger and oracle do a great job of organizing the numbers, they don't actually have the authority to move assets. That is a separate job. This is where the state machine comes in. It reads the numbers the ledger organized and checks them against the protocol's rules to decide which transitions, like a borrow or a liquidation, are allowed. The state machine is looking for your health metric. It compares your usable collateral, the tall bar, against your borrowed debt, the shorter bar. That highlighted gap between them is your safety cushion. If the market shifts and the oracle reports that your collateral has dropped in value, the tall bar shrinks. When that collateral value falls below the safety threshold, the cushion vanishes. The moment that health metric fails, the state machine flips the account status from healthy to liquidatable. This triggers an atomic transaction. Inside this single execution, 4 things happen in order. The program refreshes the price, seizes the collateral, sells the asset, and repays the debt. Because it's atomic, these steps either all succeed together or the whole thing fails. There is no human judgment involved and no grace period. If the math shows the loan is under-collateralized, the asset is sold. By selling off collateral the second a loan becomes unsafe, the state machine ensures the lending pool stays solvent and doesn't accumulate unrecoverable debt. You can think of every margin position on Solana as this two-part system, a ledger storing the balances, and a state machine enforcing the rules. This framework helps you parse through long transaction logs. You can separate the data being updated from the logic being enforced, making it easier to see exactly where a program is checking for permissions. Using this, you can trace the exact health metric guardrails to see why a transaction succeeded or why a specific liquidation was triggered. We will use this ledger and state machine model in our next lesson, where we will build and test a live leveraged flow from scratch. To explore the technical details of these mechanics or start other Web3 programs, visit forge.college. Thanks for joining us at the Foundry, and we'll see you in the next lesson.